Hey guys, today on the 1%er podcast, I'm very proud to introduce my friend David Auguste. Now, David Auguste is a fashion men designer responsible for some of the top celebrities that you see wearing some of the nicest stuff. Matter of fact, he's outfitted people like Kobe Bryant, people like Anthony Robbins, Andy Frisella, and Connor Mcgregor. As a matter of fact, the famous suit, the FU suit Connor Mcgregor wore, he was the designer behind it. He talks about that suit and how he got into the business and how he became the #1 men's fashion designer in the world. As usual, guys, I want you to take some notes. I want you to apply everything that you learn in this podcast. And do me a favor, drop me a comment, like, subscribe, share with everybody. And thank you so much for all your support and all your love. All right, David, so you have to tell me, how did you first start it with your business? How did you first start in men's clothing?
Well, ever since I was a young man, well, even grade school, I always liked to dress. All the way through junior high school, I'd always, my mom would get my shirts up to me, ironed, and I'd re-iron them for them, in the morning, get up and do that real quick. Anyway, I went to college, and then when I've always liked to dress nice. And so when I got out of college, my family was in the development business and construction business. We used to build out here in this area. And my dad had some restaurants and hotels and a finance company. And I grew up working in those companies. I grew up working in the construction company for the most part. And when I got out of college, my dad said, "Hey, so where do you want to work? Do you want to work in construction? You want to work in development? You want to work in finance, hotels, restaurants? What do you want to do?" And I said, "Dad, I think I want to open a clothing store." And he looked at me and said, "That is the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my life. Go talk to my tailor." And so I had a lunch appointment at one of my dad's properties, a hotel property in Anaheim, California, with my dad's tailor. And I came out of that appointment working for my dad's tailor. And I said, "Dad, I'm going to work with Gary." And he said, "Oh my God, I can't believe it." It totally backfired. He thought I was going to get talked out of it. And so he ended up investing in his tailor, loaned him some money, ended up losing all his money. But I went to work for his tailor, and I was trained by his tailor, and the rest is history. I worked for that guy for about 3 or 4 years.
How old were you at this point?
I was just out of college. I was like 24, just 24 years old.
24 years old, you started working for your dad's tailor.
My dad's tailor.
So that's crazy because you have your parents own all this construction companies
Right.
and all these cool things, and you can very well go and get a job with your dad in any of these, all of these different aspects of his business.
That's right.
And you're like, "No, I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
I want to go work for your tailor." And that to me, was your dad hurt a little bit?
You know what? I think he was possibly a little disappointed.
Yes.
I don't know about hurt, but disappointed at first. But you know what? One thing that was so great about my father is that he was always, he gave you the ability or the chance to do whatever you wanted. He always promoted to
free enterprise.
He just said, "Look, get out, get your butt out of bed in the morning,
Do something.
get to work. Make it happen."
And when did you get inspired? You said, "Okay, Dad, I think I want to open up my own clothing store." How did that come by? How the idea?
I always liked fashion, and I was always complimented on how I dressed through my friends and colleagues, and everybody had always come to me and asked me, "Hey, what do I wear? Let's go shopping. Let's do this." And eventually I was the kind of the go-to guy for clothing, and I kind of liked that, and it was fun and made me feel good to get dressed up and get compliments. And I thought, you know what? I can do this.
Okay.
And the other thing is, I believe that most designers are born from not being able to find what they want for themselves.
So true.
And so I couldn't find things that I really wanted. Some things were great, but I said, I can do this better. And so I loved fashion, and I loved wearing suits at an early age, which was not really the cool thing at most of the time, but I always tell people it's always better to overdress than underdress.
You started working for Gary.
Started working for Gary.
Okay, and you were about 24 years old
That's
at
right.
the time. Now, how long did you work for Gary? What did you learn? And what happened after that?
I'll tell you what, it was a great experience because I went through what he called the American Institute of Tailoring, which he had like a mini college that he put together. And I went through a 2-week program, intense program. 2 weeks doesn't sound like very long, but it was early morning, late nights, all day long, and learning every aspect of the basics of how to measure, about quality fabrics, and all the things you need to know to. It was more of like a sales aspect of the clothing business. And then I did extensive trips to Europe with Gary. We'd go and we went to Huddersfield, England, look for quality fabric making, to the mills there. Went to Torino, Italy, to Milan, went to Lake Como for quality silk tie making. So I took extensive trips and learned so much from just knocking on doors to these mills and these manufacturers. At first, they'd slam the door in your face and say, "Get away, stupid American." But I'd come back and I'd come back and I'd come back. And over the years, I learned so much more than you could learn just being in a regular classroom.
Yes.
Just getting out and doing it. And then, people, everybody's kind of in the sales business. Everybody's in sales. Business in general is all about sales. Yeah. And so it's picking your widget, and my widget happens to be clothing. I like fashion, and I think we do the best job that anybody does.
I would have to agree with that.
Thank you, appreciate that.
So when did you, after working for Gary, what happened? Did you go right into business for yourself?
Well, what happened was Gary had been hiring. He had a concept that he was going to hire a bunch of independent contractors to work for him that were clothiers, kind of stylists. All right, and I was kind of hired at first as a stylist, a clothier, but I went much further than that. I learned all about the manufacturing aspect of it and about quality, like I mentioned, quality tie making and fabric making, and then all about the back end of the business, and it was really interesting to me. And so we had all these clothiers that he had hired, stylists, that weren't really pulling their weight, so he was losing money. Yeah. And eventually we got to a point where he wasn't really able to pay his bills any longer. And so I said, oh my God, I got to do something. I got to figure it out. And I was the top salesman in the company at that time out of 20 guys. And there was another guy in the company that was, his name was Rick, and another guy named David. And they were all independent contractors, and they were doing a pretty good job. And David was a new guy, but he had really great potential. And so I went to my father and I said, Dad, we're not getting our fabrics. We're not paying our bills on time. What do you think I ought to do? And my dad actually had owned 30% of the company because he invested with this guy. Okay. And so he said, well, you think you can do it on your own? I said, yeah, I think so. And he said, well, do it. And so I went to Rick and I said, hey, Rick, I think I'm going to go do this on my own. Do you want to do this with me? And he's like, yeah, let's do it. And so he said, we should ask David too to do it. So we started a company called, at first it was called HLS Partners.
HLS.
Our last names. Yeah. And then we said, we got to come up with a real name. And so we came up with a name. It was David, Ricky and Company, which was David, and Rick. Okay. And we started this company. We literally started working out of my car. All three of us get in my car. I had a BMW at the time, and we'd drive to a client's house or his office, and one of us would get out and go sell the client clothing. We'd come back in, go to the next appointment, and then we'd all go back to Rick Lamity's house and get our UPS packages and open up our boxes from the different tailor shops we contract with, and pull the stuff out, steam it out, go the next day, deliver the clothing, and that's how we started. And then we ended up taking over a spot that my dad's tailor had at the time. It was called the Custom Clothier is what it was called at the time. We took over their brand new location that he was building at the time and never really took a delivery on. We took that location and we opened that as our corporate
and where was this at?
That was in Costa Mesa.
Costa
Mesa, California. And we negotiated a lease on that property. It was great. It was a showroom that was built out, and we took that space over, and there was just three of us at the time. And then we said, God, we got to hire somebody to answer the phones. We have to have somebody watch the front door when people come in, and we had to hire somebody else. And pretty soon, we were off to the races, and we were doing really well.
Wow. So you were door knocking. You literally are kind of door knocking at a, looks like three guys in a BMW.
Three guys in a BMW.
Three guys in a BMW going to door knocking. Hey man, we got suits, and and then you come back and get the fabrics and make them and deliver them, and I love hearing stories like that. I love stories, and what makes you so unique is that you could have easily taken the easy road.
Oh yeah.
You could have taken the easy road. Dad was, independently wealthy.
Yeah.
And you could have just, rest on your laurels. Most of the kids were like, I'm just going to go for my dad. But you wanted to pay it your own way.
Right.
And you worked for Gary. Then Gary worked for you.
Yeah, no, actually, Gary disappeared. And so he didn't work for me, but we took over, we started this company, and we grew very quickly. And I think all that was born out of how I was raised, and we had this really great work ethic. And my brother and I used to work for my dad on the weekends since we were like 10 or 12 years old, just young. On the construction sites, my dad, we'd be around, he'd give us like a tool sack, we'd walk around and pick up nails to save the good nails and put them back in the box for the next day when the carpenters came. And we'd clean up the job sites. And then on the weekends, the way my dad had this set up was that every other weekend we'd have to work around the house with my father, which was we thought was a nightmare. It was like, oh my God, I gotta work with Dad all weekend. And so we worked from 7 in the morning until 4 in the afternoon at home, one of us, with my father. We'd be washing down the driveway, washing the cars. We lived in a nice custom built home that my dad built for us. We had tennis courts, and we had a pool, we had horses. So it wasn't like we were hurting by any means, but we didn't have a pool guy. I was the pool guy. We didn't have a car detailer. I was the car detailer. And we'd whitewash the fence, the walls and stuff. We'd paint the black wrought iron. We'd clean out the horse stables every weekend. We'd work with my dad all day long. One brother. The other brother would go and clean my dad's office down on Hacienda Boulevard in Hacienda Heights, where I grew up. And he'd clean the office, and he'd get to take a friend with him to clean my dad's office. We'd empty the trash cans, vacuum the floors, water the garden, dust all the furniture off. And my dad would pay us $6 each to do that. We didn't get paid anything at the house. And we'd go down there, ride our bicycles down there, get paid $6 a piece to do the cleaning job. He'd buy us lunch at the local Jack in the Box after, whatever we wanted, and we'd have the rest of the day off.
Wow, I think your dad was instilling the work ethic, instilling entrepreneurship,
Yep.
instilling, I think he wanted to, when he was working one-on-one with you guys alongside, he wanted that quality time to be able to, as a man, show him what he was doing and all that. I love your dad, man.
Yeah.
I love your dad. I mean, this is like, that's a man's man.
Yep.
To be able
Great
to.
guy.
Yeah. Oh my God. When did you start scaling your business? Now let's get into this business of it.
Right.
and scaling it. And how hard is scaling a business that is so custom?
Well, we had the David Rickey and Company business for about 18 years. We grew very quickly. We ended up, the way we grew our business so quickly is we worked with, we have one of our very strong points is being able to get in front of very successful people very quickly. The top successful business guys in the area or anywhere we wanted to go, the top athletes, the top entertainment people. That's our strong suit. And so we went, and one of my partners was working with a guy named Rick Dees. He was a DJ.
Rick Dees in the morning.
Yeah, Rick Dees in the morning. Rick Dees and Coach Charlie Wright was the sports guy. And so we went and started making clothing for Rick Dees. And then Rick said, hey, this is great. Why don't we do an Athlete of the Week giveaway from KISS FM? You guys will make him a suit. We'll pick the athlete every week. Coach Charlie Wright will pick the athlete. We'll discuss it, pick the athlete, and we'll hire our in-house clothiers, David Rickey and Company, to make him a suit. How's that sound? Let's do it. And they'd market it all week long, and they'd promote it. It
Free marketing.
Free marketing. It was great. And so the first person they picked was Pat Riley.
Wow, the legend.
So, legend Pat Riley. And so we made Pat Riley. And by the way, these are type of people you can't get in to see unless you have, it's a direct referral.
Yes.
All right,
Yes.
because if somebody comes knocking on your door, the first thing you're going to say is, no, I'm good. I got a guy. And if one of your buddies says something, you're more apt to say, okay, well, I don't really need a guy, but send him over. So we went and saw Pat Riley first, made him a suit. Then we did Wayne Gretzky. Then we did Bo Jackson. And then we did Chris McCarron, who was a horse jockey. And then we became the official clothiers for the NFL Coaches Club, where we made every coach in the NFL, every coach, we made them a suit. And so that turned into them inviting us to all the spring training camps. So we'd show up at all the different spring trainings. We'd get athletes from that. And then it just started rolling. That's how we started
So it seemed like
scaling it.
it seemed like you were crushing it,
Yeah.
with yourself and with three of you.
That's right.
And you got your first break into celebrities.
Right.
With Rick Dees in the morning.
That's right. Exactly.
And I think that once one celebrity wears it,
Yeah.
then the other celebrity was like, where'd you get it from? As long as you're doing a fantastic job. Hey, where'd you get this and where'd you get that? And now your business started like an avalanche,
So
right?
we had that business. We grew. I think the negative, if there's a negative to it, we possibly grew too quickly.
That
And
happened.
so,
We've been there.
yeah, and we had it was like having three chiefs because the three of us were equal ownership in the business, which was
It could be a nightmare.
can be a nightmare. But we all got along pretty well. But we also weren't always on the same page after a period of time. And we were together for 18 years. We opened a store in Newport Beach. We opened another store in New York City. We sent David to New York to run that store, and eventually we kind of grew apart. And David took that store in New York City, which he still has today. And then Rick and I kept the store here and all the business here. And we had I think we had 65 employees in our location here in our corporate office. And of those employees, like 20 of them were outside sales guys. And they're stylists, clothiers.
That's a lot of people.
Yeah, a lot of people.
Yeah.
A lot of people. And so, but that wasn't sustainable at what we were doing because, 20% of people do 80% of the work.
So true.
That's how it is. And so
Pareto's
eventually, Rick wanted to do something else, the software end of our business. He wanted to create software for our industry. And so he said, look, I'm going to go do this. And I said, okay, that's fine. So I kept David Ricky and Company. Eventually I said, well, you know what? It was very confusing because Rick opened a company called Ricky Inc. and I had David Ricky, and it was very confusing for the clients. And so I ended up changing the name to David August.
And what year was that?
2003.
2003.
2003.
Wow, you've been doing this for a long time.
Long time. I started in 1988.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And then 2003 started David August, and no partners, just on my own. And so it ended up that I I bought a building actually, and because I was really kind of thinking, you know what, I want to just take care of my own clients, and I'd like to invest more in real estate. So I bought a building in Costa Mesa, which we're in today, actually, the same building there. And I actually redid the total interior of the building, and then I ended up leasing out a big portion of that building to other people, other companies. And then as we grew, because I didn't really want to have a big company again, have all these employees again, I wanted to take care of my own clients. But what happened? Boom, started growing quickly again, and we ended up now we have 35 employees in that in our corporate office, just support staff.
Wow. Right now you have 35
35
employees?
in there, yeah.
Wow.
And
wow.
they're just really support staff, and it's a team. It's an amazing team.
Wow. What was some of your challenges of scaling and hiring and making sure this machine runs great? Because obviously, every suit is your vision.
Right.
Every suit is, a formula to everything. You have a formula on how to dress. I have one here.
Yep.
You have a book that, everything that I wore, I can go in here and it's numbered.
Yeah,
All
it's
my
a wardrobe
shirts are
management
numbered.
system is what
Talk
it
about
is.
that really quick.
Well, what we do is we number every garment from day one. And most clients don't really understand the wardrobing, the numbering system at first. Yeah. And they don't really even care about it at first. But we do it because we know where this is going. We know that what we're doing is we're really experts at creating relationships. And I think that's the reason why, one of the major reasons why we're so successful is that we know how to create relationships, we know how to educate people, and communication, education, and relationships is what grow a business.
You just said a word that just made my heart happy. Because I think that in today's economy, the company that has the best relationships with the customer wins.
That's right.
And,
Absolutely.
Because no matter what you do,
yep.
there's somebody around the corner that's doing the same thing as you
There's
are.
people all over the place trying to do what we do.
For me, there's hundreds of gyms. I don't care if you're a dentist, you're a lawyer, you're a doctor. I don't care what you do. There's 100 people in a 1 mile radius, especially here in Southern California.
Probably more than that.
Yeah, more than that. That are doing the same thing.
That's right.
So if you have a bond with your customer, it's amazing. I can speak with the way Chad has taken care of me.
Right.
You know, and I call him off hours, man. I'm like, Chad, hey man, I'm
Chad's
going
the
this.
man.
I'm like, I can't button this right. What am I doing wrong? You know, and Chad like gets on FaceTime with me and you know, and he, you know, brings my clothes to me and, you know, checks up on me, and like I feel like he's a brother.
Yeah.
You know, I don't feel like I don't feel like he's, you know, trying to sell me anything. He's really looking after me. He came to my house, looked at my wardrobe, and he shook his head at some of my stuff, you know, and he said, we can do better, and he kind of upgraded, you know, that. So that relationship to me is everything.
It's everything.
It's everything. And so how are you able to stamp your DNA on all your 35 employees?
Well, first of all, we treat everybody like family. Yep. And I think that people really, they appreciate working there. Obviously, work is work, and it's not going to be, it's not a, you know, day at the park.
I got to quote that. Obviously, work is work.
That's right.
I have, you know what? That just went over there. That's a quote. That's like a meme right there.
That's
work is work.
Yeah, work is work.
You got to do it.
So, and if we all have to be there, we might as well make it fun and enjoyable.
Yeah.
And so we try to make sure that everybody is taken care of. Look, I don't have the most patience of anybody by any means, okay? And so I like getting things done. I don't take no very easily. That's just not in my DNA.
But I think all top entrepreneurs and visionaries are the same way. Steve Jobs didn't take no answer. He didn't have the best patience. He wanted what he wanted, and he wanted it fast, and he wanted it on time.
That's right.
You know, and that's how you push.
I think one of the characteristics of our company is that we just get it done. We don't, like I said, we don't take no for an answer. Most people, if you called anyone, let's say you're looking, let's talk about clothing for a minute. You're looking to get something done. You can apply this to any industry, really. You're looking to, you got a function coming up, you need a new outfit for tomorrow. You call a store, and most of the time they're going to say, well, you know, come down here, first of all, look and see what we have, and you can pick from what we have in our store, and that's all you got. Yeah. And by the way, if you need it altered, we really can't do that either. You have to wear it the way it is, and then come back and we'll alter it some other time. Okay? That would never happen with us. Yeah. Something happens where a client calls and says, no, I don't like to advertise this but we do this because we're able to do it because we have the infrastructure to do it, that we can, you know, work magic within hours if we have to. But we say 6 to 8 weeks to make a custom garment. That's pretty normal. It gives us, you know, time to meet with the client, select fabric, order the fabric from Europe, bring it in, do the detail and design, have our tailors sew everything, have a fitting or two, making sure it looks up to our standards before we deliver the garment. That takes time. But if you want something overnight, we don't say no. We figure out how, if we have to meet you at 11 o'clock at night, midnight, go down, take your measurements, figure it out, sub fabric from another client temporarily, you know, have it made, have our tailors work all night long. It's not uncommon for us to do that.
I know Chad has flew to meet with clients and take their clothes to there and all that kind of stuff.
We do that. We fly all over the world. Chad's an amazing guy. Chad has been with our company forever, you know, and so he has learned how to, he started off working in the showroom and has established and created and established an amazing clientele base where people love the guy.
Yeah. I mean, he's definitely passionate about it. He's a very perfectionist, and when I get a suit, I get measured twice now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And Chad is always like, no, we can do this a little better. I'll bring this a little tighter. And I'm like, Chad is really good now. Yeah. But he's the one that always like pushing the boundaries.
That's what you need.
Yes.
You need someone that's watching your back all the time.
Yes.
And that's where the numbering system comes into play. So everything is numbered from one, every suit is numbered from 1 to whatever. Every sport coat is numbered 1 to whatever. It's all by category. Mm-hmm. Every pant, 1 to whatever. Every shirt, 1 to whatever. And there's other categories in there, formal wear, casual wear, casual shirts. There's a bunch of different categories. Mm-hmm. The main categories, though, are suits, sport coats, slacks, dress shirts, and formal wear. And so as you build your wardrobe, let's say you buy 2 suits and a sport coat. Well, you have sport coat, suit number 1 and suit number 2, sport coat number 1. You have 2 pairs of pants with that. It's pant number 1 and pant number 2. And then what happens is every time you order new clothing, the next number in line gets sewn into that garment. Mm-hmm. And then we do kind of like a Garanimals for adults is what it is. It says you want to figure out what to wear. Most guys can put together a navy suit with a white shirt and a blue tie. That's easy. Yeah. But and the other thing that happens is people buy things in stores and they wear it exactly the way the salesman sold it to them. They don't have any depth in their wardrobe.
Yeah.
So this creates depth in the wardrobe. And so we may be a little bit more expensive per garment, but price per wearing, we're right there. We're actually less expensive because we show you how to wear this garment, maybe 10 different ways. So it'll say suit number 7 goes to shirt number 12, tie number 15, black shoe, black belt, black sock. And then the next way you wear it, you go the next line down, it says suit number 7 goes with shirt number 14, tie number 9, brown shoe, brown belt, navy or black sock. Depends. And then you have all these different ways to wear the garments.
When did you come with this creative idea?
We've been doing this ever since my early days because...
Did you do this in college or something?
Just right when we started this company, I said, look, we need to start cataloging this stuff so we have a record of what people are buying. And so we said, let's just create this numbering system. So within our company, we got together, we had so many different meetings. We hired outside consultants to come out and help us do these things. And so we created this amazing wardrobe system, and it's been with us for over 30 years now. We've fine-tuned it. Now we're getting to the point where we have it on iPads, and we have pictures of everything, and we're going to start having, so we can send you messages on your iPad, and it's very interactive.
Yes, this is genius.
Yeah.
Now, with your...
Keeps people loyal too, by the way, because you don't want to go out and buy something in a store, it's not in your wardrobe book.
Yeah, because you don't know how to match it up.
Yeah, you say, hey, it's not, I could buy that, but it's not my wardrobe book, and what you'll do is you'll send Chad a picture, take a picture of the garment you're looking at in the store, send it to Chad, and he'll make it for you.
So you have different collections.
Yes, we do.
Can you talk about different collections
Sure.
and how they're different and the price point of each one?
Sure. So we have we've got different collections. We have a couple different companies also, kind of that have we've created over the years. And David Auguste is kind of the aspirational brand that everybody wants to dress in, and it's not always possible because it depends on what your wallet looks like, right? And so, but we want to make it available and people to be able to kind of work into that aspirational brand. So David Auguste has our top level is David Auguste Couture. Actually, we have a brand new collection that's called David Auguste Tile, and that is a kind of a secret menu collection that people can get things that are what I would normally wear on my own personally in my wardrobe, and it's made with a lot more detail, and it's very, very exclusive. So that's the David Auguste Tile
Chad,
collection.
you got to talk to me about that, brother.
Secret menu.
Yeah, secret menu. Okay.
Yeah, and so that's the
David Auguste Tile, and there's David Auguste.
Then we have David Auguste Couture, which that is our kind of our main focus of our business. It's an amazing garment. It's very well made. It's probably 85% handmade, 15% machine made. All garments have a little bit of machine work in them. Everybody knows that. But it's the hand workmanship at the end that really makes the garment so beautiful. And then also the inner workings of the garment, the canvassing and the inner linings and all that stuff are also very important. And then we have a David Auguste black label, which is probably 60 to 70% handmade and the rest machine made. And that is the same inner structure of the garment, but it doesn't have all the finished handwork involved. Okay, and then we have and price-wise in those collections, the David Auguste Tile is kind of like price upon request. We'll figure that out. Depends on the garment we're making and the detail that we're doing. We also do really beautiful, in that collection we do beautiful DOP kits, toiletry cases, leather watch rolls, alligator. They're beautiful. They're all handmade in Italy. They're gorgeous. And then we have the Couture collection. Starts at about, on the very low end, $3,500, but it's really, we always say between like $4,000 and $6,000 for a suit. And then a coat and pant would be, a sport coat and a pant would be in the same price range. It really depends on fabric. Mm-hmm. You can go much higher than that, by the way, too. Yeah. Much higher. Doesn't mean that's just kind of the average. And then we have our black label collection, which starts at about, on the very low end, $2,850 to $4,500, and it's all, again, it depends on fabric, and then you can go much higher in that collection also. But I think if you're going to buy a beautiful hand-tailored suit, it depends on what your what the uses of your wardrobe. If you're a guy that wears a suit every day, you might want to spread the wealth a little bit and buy some of the couture, some of the black label, and mix it around a little bit depending on what you're going to use them for. If you're only going to buy, if you say, oh, we have guys that say, like my main clientele are guys that are at a certain success level that everything is word of mouth, everything is referral based. We don't do any advertising in that respect, but the people we get referred to really don't ever want to meet me. They're the last guy I want to meet. I'm the last guy they want to meet. They're like saying, oh my God, a guy that's going to come in here and sell me a bunch of clothing. I already have a whole closet full of clothing. I've been in business for years. I have a whole closet full of suits. I don't even want to wear suits anymore. I want to wear a pair of jeans, t-shirt, and flip-flops. And so they just sold their company they had an exit. That they're very wealthy people now. They don't really need to wear clothing. Those guys are the ones that I get invited into their homes, and the ones that really don't want to meet me. What happens though is that that guy is the perfect prospect for us because the perfect client, because he doesn't really understand until he's educated on how to wear the clothing at this level. And so what we do is we come in and say, look, you don't need 25 suits in your closet any longer. You need 4 or 5 amazing suits that fit you beautifully, and that you can mix and match and make those 4 or 5 suits look like 50 suits. Yeah. And then they're like, okay, great. So you need something, in like a black tie optional. You should have a tuxedo, but if you're really not going to a lot of black ties, you can get away with a black suit or a midnight navy suit. And then you need something in a great navy classic business suit, and then you need something in gray, and something like a blue gray, which is really, really popular, and then something like a change of pace suit, which would be a silver gray or a heather tan for summer. So if you get invited to an outdoor summer wedding or a function, you don't look like you're coming in your business suit. So those 4 or 5 suits, and then a few sport coats, 2 or 3 pairs of slacks, a couple handfuls of shirts, a couple pairs of shorts, some shoes, flip-flops, and you're ready to go.
See, what I didn't know, and I don't think a lot of people know, is that you actually have you do more than formal wear. You have jeans. Like this shirt right here is one of your shirts. And I was like, well, I don't want to. I'm a gym guy, right? And I wear suits. Oh man, maybe 3 times a year. And so I'm mostly in this type of clothes. And when I found out, I asked Chad, oh yeah, we do all of that. And do you guys have some really cool jeans and some really cool shirts and all stuff that I can wear every day?
Where people don't really understand when they think they're coming to our showroom, they go, oh my God, this guy's going to sell me a bunch of suits. That's not what we're all about. We're out making sure that our clients are properly attired for any occasion they might be invited to. And so that means, you're going to the beach, you're going to wear a pair of swim trunks and flip-flops and a t-shirt. We're going to get that. We provide that for people. So we go from that stage all the way through.
You have flip-flops? I did not see it in your showroom.
Yes, we have flip-flops. Come on, Chad.
Where is my flip-flops, Chad?
That's right, exactly.
When he keeps talking about flip-flops, I'm like, I didn't see a flip-flop in the showroom. So I want my alligator flip-flops.
There you go. Come on, man.
I know you have them.
They're there for sure. We've got them. And if we don't have them, we'll source them for you.
Yes, thank you. I love that.
So anyway, once you put things into perspective for clients, they understand that, and I also ask everyone 4 questions. Everybody gets to ask the same 4 questions from me. Okay, the first question is, okay, so, because most guys don't want to see me anyway, so I say, look, how many suits do you have in your closet? And they're thinking, oh, I'm going to get this guy to my office right now. I've got 25 suits in my closet. I don't need any more suits. And I said, okay, great. How many of those suits do you actually wear? That answer
Don't ask me that question.
So what ends up happening, by the way, all these answers, you can write them on the back of a napkin and you turn them over. They're all pretty much the same for every client. How many suits do you have in the closet is question number 1.
How many you wear?
Question number 2, how many do you actually wear? And be honest. And that answer is usually what? What do you say? 6 or 8?
Not even that for me.
Okay. So that answer is between 4 to 8. 6 or 8 is really,
if you have 25 out of 25, I probably wear like 4 or 5.
Yeah. And so the next question is, well, okay, of those 4 or 5 suits that you're wearing, how many do you feel like $1 million in when you're wearing them? And that answer is always the last 1 or 2 I bought. Okay. And say, okay, the last 1 or 2 you got, what do those 2 look like? You say, I've got a navy solid that I got and I have a gray pinstripe. Okay, great. So for our conversation, we're going to consider that you have a navy solid and a gray pinstripe because everything in your closet, you should feel like $1 million when you're wearing it. Yeah. Everything else should be edited out.
Yeah.
Okay? And just know you only need 4 or 5 suits. So this is not a big deal right now. You've got 2 great suits you like. You may have to add 2 or 3 more suits to round out the wardrobe. We go through the same thing with sport coats and then slacks and shirts and that type of thing. And once you get down to, to the detail, it's very, very comprehensible for the guy, and usually, because it's not really a money issue with a successful guy. It's not about being able to afford it. It's about value. Yeah. People want value. Yeah. And if you can show and you can educate the person on that this is a value, it's a no-brainer.
Yeah. People don't care about the price. They want the value.
No, the value.
They getting? Yeah. It's so important. I always tell that, I said, don't lower your price, raise your value.
Yeah. And another thing that I do is that I always try to prepare people for an emotional situation while they're in a rational state of mind. And so that means I'm fitting you on with our clothing. And our clothing is usually much more tailored than you're going to get off the rack somewhere or that people are used to wearing. And so I'll say, listen, when you get our clothing, just remember it's going to be a little bit higher in the armhole, a little more tailored. And don't worry about that because I can ease the armhole if you want me to, but I really don't want to. I want you to get used to wearing the clothing more tailored because you're going to get more compliments, it's going to feel better, and your body will get used to it. And the person usually says, okay, well, I don't want it too tight. It's not going to be tight. It's going to be tailored. Okay? Okay, fine. That's during the initial meeting and the fitting. Okay, or not the fitting, the initial meeting and the measurement process and picking out fabrics. They come in for the first fitting. The clothing's ready for fitting. I say the exact same thing before I put the coat on them. I say, by the way, here, go in the dressing room, put this pant on, put the shirt on. Remember, it's going to be a little more tailored than you're used to. Don't worry about it. They come out, oh, it's not that bad. And then before I put the coat on them, I say, remember, I'm going to put this coat on you. You might feel a little in the armhole. It's going to be a little more tailored. But remember what I said when we first met? We can ease that out if you want to. I just want you to try this because if you allow yourself to wear clothing that's a little more tailored for a extended period of time, like 3 or 4 or 5 hours, your body will actually get used to the clothing being more tailored. And then when you go back, it's a double-edged sword. You go back to your previous clothing, and you're going to say, this stuff is way too big. I can't wear it anymore. Has that happened to you?
Yes.
Happens to everybody.
Yes.
And so, but you have to prepare the person for that emotional situation while they're in a rational state of mind, because if you don't say all that up front, they come out and they put the coat on, it feels tight. They say, hey, this is tight in the armhole. Now you're talking them into the clothing instead of preparing them in advance. And so they come out and what they normally say is, oh, it's not that bad. Okay, that's pretty good. Okay, good. Because they've been prepared for it. And you can do that in any line of business, preparing people. That. And I think that we are experts at doing that too.
Wow. You heard that, Isaac? That's $1 million gold right there. Yeah. No, that's so. What are your vision now? I know you work with A-list celebrities. Right. And one of them being Kobe. Let's talk about Kobe for a second. Yeah. Tell me some of your best memories. Oh. Of Kobe. I know you worked with him extensively. And I know that was a hard Sunday for everybody. And I go on the record and said, as devastating that was, that made the world better. Yeah. It made me reevaluate my life, my priorities, and everything else like that. And what are some of your fond memories, and how was he to work with? Because I know he has a Mamba man. He expects perfection, and you're a perfectionist. Yeah. So I know that was a great team. So I would love to just talk about that.
I think that we started working with Kobe from his rookie year. We made him a suit. In a rush, he needed something right away. He called us.
Of course.
We made him a rush suit very quickly, and he loved the suit and said, "Hey, I really like the suit." And Rob Pelinka was his manager, throughout his career, and so Rob Pelinka called our office and asked us to come up to the office and see he and Kobe. We went up and met with Kobe, and he said, "Hey, listen, I like the suit." He's very straightforward. As a young man too, he was very, very focused. And I remember him distinctly saying, look, Rob, go get the schedule. And so Rob went and got the schedule for that upcoming season. There's 82 games in the season, plus you have All-Star weekend and you have playoffs. And so he was calculating how many suits he needed. And so he said, look, we need one new suit for every televised game for sure. And they went through the schedule and looked at the televised games, and then we looked at the All-Star game. And I even said to him, are you sure you're gonna make the All-Stars? And he was like, anyway.
It's like,
yeah. And then playoffs and stuff. And so anyway, that was our first meeting. And I said, okay, let's look at some fabric. And he said, I don't want to look at any fabric. That's your job. And so he gave us that from the very,
Freedom.
very, very
you're the
first
expert.
day.
You give me
That's
the
right.
rest.
And that's what he always did.
Love
and that was a telltale sign of how our relationship was going to go. And so I went back, we made up a bunch of suits, and we delivered them, and we dressed them for every occasion. And so I've worked with them for 20 years.
Wow.
Yeah, and I think that being able to work with anyone for a long period of time, we had some fallouts along the way, we didn't work together for a period of time, then we got back to working with them again. But having that thick skin and the drive from both sides to be able to work with each other was probably one of the most important factors in the relationship.
Whenever you get two alpha males
Yeah.
working together, there's going to be fallout.
Right.
There's going to be fallout. Two perfectionist alpha male.
Right.
I remember when 50 Cent and Mayweather started hanging out. I always asked myself, I know this is not going to last.
Yes.
I know. I called it from the very beginning. They're going to have a fallout, and sure enough, and I know you have a new venture
Right.
with Connor McGregor.
That's right. Connor's been a client since he got into the MMA and the UFC. He's been MMA for several years, and then but the UFC, I was invited out to see because I take care of the past owners of the UFC, Lorenzo Fertitta and Dana White, and I make all of their clothing. And so Lorenzo invited me out and said, "Hey, I've got this new kid that's coming in. That's a dapper guy. He thinks he's super into fashion, and he said I want to show him what real fashion is." And so he said, "Come on out." So anyway, we went out.
I
And
love this.
Met at Lorenzo's office, and we're all in the room. And Lorenzo said, "By the way, this is David who makes all my clothing." And he said, "This is the tailor?" And he said, "Yeah." And he said, "Oh," he was so excited. His eyes lit up. And he says, "Well, what are we going to do?" He says, "Well, we're going to have him measure you and make you some clothes." So we did. We took his measurements, and he was like a kid in a candy store. He said, "Well, what can I make?" And Lorenzo said, "Pick out whatever you want." And so we made him several outfits as a gift from Lorenzo, and got them all dialed in. I think we made him, 4 or 5 or 6 suits and a few sport coats, and Lorenzo added some things in at the end, make him a car coat, make him a tuxedo, and make him all the shirts and all the accoutrements to go with it, with the clothing. And we rushed it through in a few weeks to get it done for him for his press tour for that first fight. And so we had him dialed in for every appearance that he was on throughout the week, as well as the walk-in, his famous walk-in suits.
Yep.
They've become, an amazing. Everyone watches to see
The
what he's going to
FU
wear.
tie, that is.
Well, that was something else I'll tell you about. Now we've been working with him for quite a while, and then he was working on this Mayweather fight for like 3 years. And I kept on telling Connor, we ought to do we work with so many celebrities and famous people. In the conversation, it usually comes up of, we got to do a line together, we got to do a collaboration together of some type. And that's been happening for years. And I never really followed through on any of those really, because I didn't know if it was something I really wanted to do and if it was going to work. And, I was busy working.
Yeah.
And so this, though, was one of those things that we talked about it so often. And Connor really is a fashion guy. He owns the clothing, you know what I mean, in his mind.
Yeah.
And when you own the clothing, you don't care what people say. There's no excuses. It just looks fantastic on you.
Yeah.
And so you really have to own it. And that's what he does. And so we've made his clothing for every event that he's ever been in. And so he had this Mayweather fight coming up, and they had 4 press tours on the agenda. One was in LA. The first one was in LA at the Staples Center. The next one was in Toronto. The next one was in New York City, and then London to finish it off before the fight. And so I made up 4 brand new suits for him. They're all awesome suits. Everyone was better than the next. But I had made up this suit that I was working on for probably 6 months before that I didn't tell anyone about. And years ago, I'll try to make this quick, years ago, we had this process in the fabric manufacturing business where you could actually put your name in the pinstripe of a suit. And that, it's been available, the process has been available for years, like 20 years. But it wasn't really popular because no one really wants to put their name in their own suit, for the most part, right? And so that wasn't really a popular thing. It was just something that you could do, but it was very expensive to have done. And I was at one of my manufacturers, my fabric manufacturer's office one day in New York. And I was sitting there talking to them, and I saw this card up on the shelf that had that old advertisement in it where you could do a name and a pinstripe of a suit. And I said, hey, do you still make those pinstripes with the names inside? And she said, yeah, actually we do. And she looked into it, was dust on the card, it was an old card. And I said, really? What colors can I make? And then when they got the card, they pulled out this old card, brushed off the dust, and it had, 50 different colorways you could do this. And you put your name in the card. And I said, can you put anything in there? And they said, yeah, I guess you can put anything in there, anything you want. And I said, okay. I said, can I put FU in there? And she looked at me and she said, really, you want to put fuck you in there? And I said, well, look, yeah, I do. And she said, really?
Yeah, I do.
And so why would you ever want to put that? I said, you know what, it's just a personal thing. I just want to do it for myself. She said, you're kidding. And I'm thinking, no one's ever going to wear that suit. Mm-hmm. And so I asked her to make it for me. I picked out, she said, okay, pick out a couple of colorways. We picked out some colorways. A few months later, I called her and I said, listen, is that fabric almost ready? She said, oh my God, I've been dreading this phone call. We're not going to be able to make the fabric for you. I said, what do you mean you can't make the fabric for me? She said, the mill that's milling the fabric for us in Europe says that it's derogatory and they don't want to have their name associated with that derogatory term. And I said, oh, you're kidding me. I said, go back and ask him again. Tell him it's not a big deal. It's just for me. I'm a good client of yours. Trying to talk her into this. She went back. She called me back 2 days later and they said, no, not going to do it. So now I'm thinking, oh, now I'm on a mission. I got to figure this out. So I started calling all of my fabric suppliers all over the world, right? And asking them for this process. And they all said yes at first. They all came back a few days later and said no. Every time. I went through like 7 different fabric suppliers. And I'm thinking, okay, I got to figure this out. So I called this one fabric supplier that I know very well, that I do a lot of business with, and I said, his name is Guy. I said, Guy, listen, I need you to do me a favor. And I said, before you say no, I'm going to tell you I've been shot down 7 times. So sorry that you're 8th on the list, but I was going through this, didn't think about you at first, but here's where I am with this. And he said, well, what do you want to have done? And I said, do you make those fabrics with the name and the pinstripe? He said, yeah, I think we can do that. Okay, this is what I want. He started laughing and he said, okay. I said, look, everyone says no. You got to just figure it out for me. So he went to Europe, to his mill, and he came back. He called me back the next day and said, what do you want this for? I said, I just want it for myself. He goes, just for yourself. He said, look, the mill said no, but I told them they have to do it. So we're going to do it for you, but you can only choose one colorway. What do you want? So I chose the navy with the gray pinstripe, and it just said, F-U-C-K, Y-O-U, F-U-C-K, Y-O-U, continuously throughout the pinstripes. And from a distance, you can't really see it. What happens though, when you do see it, you can't unsee it. Yeah. Because that's all you're looking at.
Yeah, you're like, wow.
Right, and so we made this suit up, and he said, well, how many yards you want? I said, I want 10 yards. And he said, 10 yards? I thought it was only for yourself. It only takes 5 yards for a 3-piece suit. I said, well, it's for me and a buddy of mine. And so he said, all right, I'll make you the 10 yards. So he made the 10 yards, shipped it to me. I got the fabric. I was like, oh my God, this is great. I had a suit made for myself first. It came in thinking, this is amazing. This is awesome. I'm never going to wear this suit, but this is awesome. And then the Mayweather fight came up. I went to fit Connor with the 4 suits on the day of the very first press conference at the Staples Center for the Mayweather fight. He was in his hotel room. I brought the 4 suits, and I brought the 5th suit as an extra. That was just kind of a surprise. We never talked about the FU suit, nothing. And so we went through the first 4 suit fittings. He loved every one of them, trying to figure out what he was going to wear first, second, third, fourth. I said, or you can also wear this suit. And I pulled that suit out.
You never told him ahead of time what
Never
it was?
told him anything about it.
Oh,
nothing.
wow, what a
Not
surprise.
one
Oh, man.
yeah. So he looked at the suit and he goes, oh, what's the big deal about that suit? It's just a navy pinstripe. And I said, no, look closely. And he looked and he said, give me that suit. And we put it on, and he got him totally dressed, put head to toe, got him totally dialed in, tie, pocket square, a flower lapel pin, done. Got them all dressed up. Took a couple of pictures of them in it, and we were talking. He's like, "This is an amazing suit. This is amazing. This is fucking unbelievable." When should I wear it? And so we decided, you got to wear it today if you're going to wear it. You got to wear it today. So he went, got in the cars, got in his roller, and moved across from the Ritz-Carlton Hotel to the Staples Center. We all pulled in there. He walked up on stage, and about 80% of the fans in that stadium are Connor McGregor fans. Everywhere he goes, 80% of the fans are Connor McGregor
Irish
fans.
fans are no joke.
Yeah, compared to the opponent. And so everybody, crowd went wild, and he said, Dana White introduced him, said, the notorious Connor McGregor, and Connor comes up to the podium, and the first thing he says is, "How do I look?" And the place went crazy. He says, "I think I look pretty effing good." He says, "If you look closely at my suit, my pinstripe says exactly how I feel about Mayweather and his group." And everybody kind of chuckled a little bit. The stadium had 20,000 people in the stadium or so in that Staples Center. And the camera zoomed in on the suit, and on the Jumbotron, you could read it perfectly.
Perfectly, wow.
And the crowd went crazy, and it went viral.
Wow.
And from that point, we had, over the next several days, we had over 6 billion impressions on the internet on that suit.
Wow.
And so we didn't even have the fabric to make it.
Thank God you didn't. You went for the 8th God.
Yeah, exactly, right?
You would have quit. You would have never done that.
To become a iconic suit, and everybody knows about that suit. I mean, you can ask a little kid walking down the street, your taxi driver, the cook in the restaurant, the grandmother, everybody knows about that suit.
Chad, can you get me one of those done?
It's an amazing suit.
I might just need to have one because it's history, right?
Yeah.
I might have to just get.
Problem is that we don't have it for sale right now. It'll be re-released, and we'll get you one.
Yes,
but
please.
They're all hand signed by me, and they're numbered, and they're limited. We only released a certain amount. We put them on. We never sold anything on the internet, by the way. Yeah. We don't sell it that way. We sell everything, in person. But we started selling like pocket squares and ties and that kind of stuff on our website. But we never sold a custom garment on the website. So we decided, since we were having so many requests for this suit, that we were going to put it up there and see what happened. And I ordered 60 meters of the cloth. And oh, by the way, every one of the fabric vendors that said no all called me the next day and said,
"We'll do it now.
By the way, we'll make that suit for you." I said, "No thanks. I got my guy."
Too late.
So we put that up on the website, and we overnight sold out of that suit. We put it up there for $11,995 a suit.
Wow.
For the entire outfit.
Yeah.
That was the suit, the shirt, the tie, the pocket square, the shoes, everything. And which is really inexpensive for that garment because the way it's become such an iconic garment. But we sold out.
Well, that goes a testimony to your vision and not giving up. Going back to what it made it all happen, because most people after 1 or 2 phone calls, they were like, what he's doing there, forget about it.
Yeah, forget about it.
Forget about it.
But what ends up happening, and then we had the issue of a new issue presented itself of how do we measure all these people that are all over the world without the staff to do it. So we had people from, Dubai, from Asia, from Australia, New Zealand, Italy, England, all over America ordering this suit. And they would go online, they'd click on the suit, add to cart, shirt, add to cart, tie, add to cart, pocket square, add to cart, shoe, add to cart, total of $11,995. They put their personal information in, credit card, charge. And then they're expecting to get a suit. How do you do this now? And so we said, okay, let's do this. Let's send everybody an email, say thank you for your purchase. Congratulations on your new purchase of the David Auguste FU suit. We're going to send you a tape measure in the mail, and we're going to book an appointment with you. When you get the tape measure, let us know. We'll book an appointment, and you need to have someone with you, like a spouse or a buddy or whatever, and we'll FaceTime measure you. And we acted like that was the normal thing. And it wasn't, because we'd never done it before. And so we did that, and it worked out perfectly. Actually, it's created a whole nother way of doing business for us.
Yeah, because now you can now sell on the internet.
Absolutely, we do it all the time.
You do it now?
Yeah.
And that was paving the way, right?
Chad has clients all over the country that he measures online on FaceTime and sends them.
All because of that one single vision that you had.
That's right.
That's crazy. If it wasn't because of that, none of this would have happened.
Really expanded our business, and what's happened, it's allowed us to accept business from all over the world now. Before we were like, well, when are you going to be in town? And we don't really travel there. We had all these excuses why we can't do business. And now we have all these reasons why we can do business.
Wow. Now you have the whole world that you
The whole world.
Wow.
It's global. And so Connor and I started this company called Auguste Mcgregor. And it's kind of an entry level. The idea behind of this business is a way to give back to his fan base. He has 35 million fans that follow him on Instagram. I think a like number on Twitter and all the other platforms. And so most of his clients are not super successful. A lot of them are, and a lot of them can afford a David Auguste suit, but a lot of them can't. They're the guys that are making, making 30, 40, 50 grand a year, and they want a piece of what Connor is wearing and a piece of him. And so how do we get back to that fan? So we created this line that's called Auguste Mcgregor, and it's kind of a get the look for a price point. And so obviously it's not handmade. We have stuff that's made all over the world. We have stuff made in Asia. We have stuff made in America. We have stuff made in Europe. And whatever we can get, and we do a complete collection from head to toe. We do and it's all done online. And so we do a new drop every 6 weeks online. And so we create maybe 2 suits, 2 sport coats, a couple dress shirts, a couple pairs of pants, a couple hoodies, a couple t-shirts, a couple track suits, maybe a beanie or a baseball cap, leather bracelet, all these different things. And we do a new collection every 6 weeks, and it's kind of a mini collection. And we drop that. And then in between those collections, we do like 3-day pops, which were like, we'll do a special t-shirt for an event that's coming up, or a 3-day pop t-shirt that we'll put on as a limited edition t-shirt. And we put it on there for, $24.75. You can't get anything like that at David Auguste. I mean, our least expensive t-shirt's like $195. But anyway, and I was a little hesitant to do that, but as you go down the scale on price point, it's amazing how your audience does open up. Same thing with anything, really. High-end cars, small audience.
Yes.
Less expensive vehicles, Hyundais or whatever they might be,
Yeah.
Great vehicle, but huge audience.
Yeah, one of my mentors a long time ago told me that if you even get $1 from someone, it's a lot easier to get the next dollar.
That's right.
So
That's
when
right.
so when when you have other pieces that they can buy from you, then expose them to your brand.
That's right.
I know not too many years ago I couldn't afford one of your suits. But if you would have had,
I can't even afford one of my suits.
you get them for free.
Not free, but anyway.
But if I was exposed to something that you had, and then later on aspired to have a top of the line suit,
right.
then I would have then at least I would got exposed.
It introduces
to it.
people,
Yes, to your
exposes
brand.
people to the brand, and like I said earlier, the David Auguste brand is an aspirational brand, and it's not for everyone. It's one of those things that you're kind of in a club, you're in a family,
Yeah.
and when you are at a point in your career that you feel that you're deserving of whatever, in our situation, a David Auguste suit or a beautiful new vehicle or a house in a certain community or whatever you might be doing, when you feel like you're deserving, it's an aspirational event in your life and you go for it. And so we want people to feel like they've achieved something really great when they are in a David Auguste suit. And so we give them super service, super product, and it's really important about the detail.
I love the fact that you know exactly your customer avatar, you know exactly who you serve, and you know exactly who you don't serve.
Right.
A lot of times, a lot of brands try to be everything to everyone.
No, you can't do that.
And when you try to do that, when you're everything to everyone, then you're nothing to no one.
That's right.
But was it any time during your career doing this, did you ever second guess your direction? I know, when the recession hit in 2008, some of your clients, obviously nothing affects them, but it affected a lot of people.
Right.
And I know it affected my business, and maybe at one time I could afford something I can't afford at that moment. Did you ever say, maybe I need to, have different things and, kind of expand it a little more?
I've never second guessed our direction.
I love that.
Never.
I love that.
I've never been into lowering the quality of anything, because I'm always the type of person that says, figure out how to get it done the right way. And so I've never second guessed the direction. Yeah, during the recession, our business was off probably 20 to 30% for a period of time there. But all we did was we hunkered down and we, did what everybody else did to survive.
Yeah.
And you know what? Even my most successful clients were hurting at that time. Everybody was hurting. And, and people that say they weren't hurting, I kind of second guess that a little bit. That's the only thing I would be second guessing. But I think that always sticking with your game plan and you persevere through those hard times makes for a great overall story at the end.
Yeah, yeah. Is there any, what was the funniest celebrity you ever worked with? What are some of the funny moments that you work with a celebrity? I know you have probably tons of it, but what would stand out that would my viewers would want to know? You think?
I don't have to think about that a little bit. I've had so many different situations that were comical, and I don't know. I kind of throw me off a little bit because I have to think about this, but there's so many different situations that I've been in with, very, very famous people, or awkward situations where you're thinking, how do I work through this situation? Let's come back to that in a minute. I'll think about it.
Okay.
Right.
And in the next, what is your vision for David Auguste and everything that you're doing in the next 5 years?
Our vision is continue what we're doing. We have really gone into the tech space, and I've learned so much over the last couple of years with the Auguste Mcgregor collection, getting to know the
internet world,
and the massiveness of it, and how you can reach so many people, but I'm trying to make sure that I stay focused on the quality, even on a lower end, where the people that are spending $24.75 for a t-shirt, which for some people that's a lot. For me, I'm kind of tainted. That's not a lot of money for a t-shirt. I think that's inexpensive. But even that quality from other brands, the quality is horrible. Yeah. Our quality is fantastic. Yeah. And it's because I'm so particular about it. I don't want to give up any of the quality factors. That t-shirt, if I wanted to, could probably sell for $250. I'm not going to do that because that's not the price point, and that's not what it should be demanding. But the quality of it, you could almost sneak it into the David Auguste collection, and some of the clients wouldn't say anything about it. We're not going to do that. But the thing is that the quality is so important. So I found that working with the internet it's opened up such a global aspect of our business. Yeah. And it's exciting because we have so many people coming to us now wanting to do collaborations from all over the world. It's amazing because, I grew up in the United States. I'm used to high-end Neiman Marcus, Bergdorf Goodman, next one Nordstrom's, and then Bloomingdale's, and all the way down the chain. And that's all I really knew my entire life. Well, every country has those levels all the way up the chain. And so we're being contacted by so many different private boutiques and major department stores and licensing companies and things that are opening up our horizons. It's amazing.
That is so awesome. I think, we all go through the same kind of growing pains where the question is always, how can I get bigger but still remain small?
Right.
You know what I mean? How can you get bigger and still maintain quality? For us as gyms, is how can we get bigger and still maintain the same customer experience, the same quality as far as training and everything is concerned. And I love the fact that you're not willing to compromise on quality for nothing.
Right.
And that's what makes you unique, and that's why you're at the top of the game when it comes to men's clothing. Right.
I'll tell you a story real quick.
Yes.
You asked me a question earlier.
Yes.
I'll tell you a funny thing. This is not by any. I have a lot of these different things happen to me, obviously. But when I was working, when I first started David, Ricky and Company, as we're learning, getting new clients around the country, I had this client in downtown LA, became one of my best clients. And he'd spent a lot of money with me every year, consistently. And he was a guy that owned these Mexican supermarkets. I'm not going to mention any names, but anyway, I'd go down to downtown LA to where his corporate office was, and it was just like in a really seedy area, right? I mean, you'd go down there, but his markets were beautiful. And I'd go down to these markets, and we'd meet with him at his market, and he always worked in, he'd always want to pay me cash. And I didn't want to accept cash all the time because you got to like figure out what to do with it, whatever. So, but he was in the cash business. And so he'd always owe me money all the time because I'd be delivering clothing all the time to him. And at one time I went down to collect some cash from him, and he's like, yeah, I don't think I owe you that money, do I? Yeah. And he was just kind of messing with me. And we got into a discussion about how much money he owed me, and I said, no, it's this much. He said, no, I don't think so. And he had a couple of his kind of cronies in the room with him. And this guy was he was definitely in gangs and whatever, but he owned a big company. Anyway, and so he said to me, he said, look, hey, what do you think I ought to do to his friends? What do you think I ought to do? David asked me for this money. Should I pay him? And the guy's like, no, don't pay him that money. He said, well, what should I do? He says, let's get our guys down here and let's run them off the property. And I'm like, come on. His name is George. Anyway, I said, George, come on, George. And he says, nah, I don't know. They're saying we should run you off the property. And I'm like, come on, George, give me a break. We've been friends forever. He says, hey, call your guy. To one of his guys, he told one of his guys, call your guy. So he gets on his cell phone, he calls, makes a phone call. He says, hey, there's this, we used to drive these David Ricky white vans they would go and deliver on. And so he said, there's a David Ricky van in the parking lot. Surround that van, go down and show him some muscle. And I'm like, what is he doing? He says, look at the cameras. He had a series of maybe 30 cameras that showed all the property. And this whole gang starts walking down the alley of about 4 or 5 guys, 4 or 5 girls. They were wearing trench coats. And I'm like, what is going on? He says, just watch these guys. I'm like, George, give me a break. Now I'm getting a little nervous, right? So they get to this one spot, and he's on the phone. He's okay, stand right there, stop right there. He goes, show them some power. And they all open up their trench coats, and they're all carrying guns and rifles and stuff, and Uzis and whatever they were carrying. I'm thinking, oh my God. He says, don't let that van leave. And I'm thinking, oh my God, you guys. He goes, well, what do you want to do, David? Do you want your money or do you want to leave? And I said, give me a break. And he said, hey, I'm just kidding with you. Don't worry about it. But he wasn't really kidding. I said, well, what happens if I go, you guys kind of took a little bit of time to get down there. What happens if I would just jumped in the car and left? He said, look, we have guys all the way to the freeway. They're going to catch you. Don't worry about it. You're not going to get away. But we had stuff like that happen to us all the time.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Crazy stuff.
But you got your money and you left.
Got my money and I left.
Okay.
He's still a good client.
That's awesome.
Good
man.
guy.
What a great story. David, it's a pleasure, man, having you on the show. Gosh, man, I can sit down and talk to you for hours. The stories, that come up, the entrepreneurship, everything that you've done to build this great, massive, successful business. Well, massive, getting more massive now because of the internet. Yep. But so custom, so high quality for people who want to get a suit from you.
Yep.
For people who are looking to take their wardrobe to the next level, where they can find more information about you and everything that you do.
Well, you can contact us on our website, davidaugustinc.com. And you can also call our corporate office there. It's 800-546-7848. It's a direct number, and you can reach that from anywhere around the world. We've got clothers that can see you anywhere now through FaceTime or visit people on the road. And first of all, I wanted to say I appreciate being here.
Bro,
I appreciate the opportunity, and it's a pleasure for me to be here.
Thank you, David. Looking forward to interviewing some more.
Thanks, bud. We'll talk to you soon.
Thank you.
Hey guys, if you like today's episode, do me a huge favor. Go ahead and leave a comment below, subscribe to the channel, leave me a review, and tag a few friends that you think can benefit from what we shared today. Really appreciate it. God bless.